all of a sudden Malik Beasley re-enters the fold in free agency. It was a few months ago that he was under federal investigation for gambling charges. And if you followed Twitter, which maybe is not the smartest thing to do, the stuff that people dug up as far as his handle with some of these apps and some of the plays that maybe he took off, it seemed like they had him dead to rights, right? It looked like Malik Beasley's career, much like Michael Porter Jr.'s brother, might just be cooked. And he missed out on a huge payday in the prime of his career. Breaking news this morning via Shams, right? And here is the quote from Malik's lawyer. Months after investigation commenced, Malik remains uncharged and is not the target of the investigation. An allegation with no charge, indictment, or conviction should never have catastrophic consequences. This has caused Malik. This has literally been the opposite of the presumption of innocence. So very lawyer type terms here, but basically, he's off, he's free, right? And now, did he snitch? I don't know. I wouldn't blame him, right? But now for me, I'm pretty good at eating healthy and sticking to a meal plan. But what gets me is my sweet tooth and inevitably wanting some sort of treats or something sweet to satisfy that. And that's where Magic Spoon has just been a game changer for me. And it fits into a variety of diets. You're talking high protein, no sugar, very carb conscientious, and you get a little of that childhood nostalgia with all their flavors. I had run out of the product they sent me, so I found this one here with the minis. And so I feel like I'm even getting more of them. But, it's crispy, it's crunchy, it's airy. This one's the marshmallow, my favorite one here. But look at the macros on this. The protein bars, you're talking about 11 to 12 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, 1 to 2 grams of net carbs. The cereal, 13 to 14 grams of protein, 0 sugar, 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. So right now, you can use my code Alchemy or click the link in the description to try Magic Spoon cereal or treats today. Get $5 off. You can also find Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery stores. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee online. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund you your money, no questions asked. So click the link in the description or go to magicspoon.com/alchemy or scan the QR code on the screen for $5 off. Malik Beasley is 28 years old and was, I think, the second or third most prolific three-point shooter in the league last season for the Detroit Pistons. Was a huge part of what they did in their resurgence. His shooting splits, 43, 41, and 67. Now, 67% from the foul line from a shooter is crazy, right? It goes to show you he's a rhythm guy, and perhaps he can't quiet his mind at the line, but 41% from three at that volume is, at the highlight of what he brings to the table. Because when you watch too, he's not just taking open corner threes. Like, he shoots on the move, he shoots contested threes. It's a high degree of difficulty to go along with that high volume. And Beasley, like Klay Thompson, is what I'd call a goldfish shooter, meaning he's got a 3-second memory. And a lot of the time, I've spoken about this in the past, this is the separator with these prolific shooters in the league. A lot of guys can make shots, right? You're in the NBA, you're a perimeter player, like a lot of guys can make threes. The goldfish shooters, they're willing to miss more. Klay Thompson, Beasley, right? There's a handful of them in the league that come to mind when you're talking about at the top, right? But they'll miss 5 in a row and shoot the 6th like they've made 3 in a row, right? It's that short memory and the willingness to miss and keep shooting with confidence. That's Beasley's superpower, and why he's such a prolific shooter. And again, 28 years old, in the prime of his career, and for a shooter as well, he's not a terrible defender. Like, he's plenty athletic enough. He's not a guy you're going to want to leave on an island. He's not a two-way player, right? But he can hold up and hold his own defensively. So now the question becomes, what is the market for Malik Beasley at this point in free agency, where there's not a lot of money to go around, and the Detroit Pistons have kind of already replaced him, right? They went and got Duncan Robinson and gave him a new contract. They went and got Karis LeVert. And so they still own his bird rights up to $7.2 million, which is not a lot, right? But before we talk about the teams and maybe the Warriors' possibility of being interested in it, let's also acknowledge, part of this is, even though he's been cleared of this investigation, I think everyone also understands Malik Beasley is that guy, right? He's that guy. We all know him. We all have that guy, amongst our friends where it's like, look, you love him. He's your boy, but you also know who he is, right? You're not going to lend him your car. You're not going to ask him to watch your kids, right? He's that guy. And so that's also going to be part of the equation of what opportunity and what deal he gets here. It's not just the stain of this investigation. He has a track record of being a knucklehead. Now, would the Warriors be interested in adding a prolific three-point shooter in the prime of his career, despite being a known knucklehead? They've done it in the past, right? Swaggy P, DeMarcus Cousins, and with the idea of the infrastructure, the culture of the Warriors, the veteran leadership would keep them in line, right? And you'd also hope, you'd imagine Malik at 28 now, this would be some sort of wake-up call. Like, if he's going to sign a make-good deal, he would be on his best behavior and locked in. One would hope. Now, the Warriors have been linked to 3 other guards: DeAnthony Melton, Seth Curry, and Malcolm Brogdon. Brogdon, look, he hasn't had a healthy season since Obama has been in office. Like, I didn't know he was still like playing in the league, to be honest with you. When he was healthy, he's good. He makes sense, right? He fits the bill, certainly like a Sean Livingston-esque type of player. Not the same exact game, but I think he could have that type of impact if he were healthy. And maybe that's the Warriors' train of thought with these 3 players is, hey, our training staff with Celebrini and load management, we've had success doing that in the past, taking guys that have struggled with injuries and load managing them into our system. But all 3 of these guys, really, if you want to talk about durability, Seth, not a pillar of durability, and then DeAnthony Melton, yeah, man, 6 games. We knew they were a great 6 games. And so it's like, do you take 2 of these guys and hope that, one of them can stay healthy and contribute? Or would you gamble on a younger, more talented player who, again, is a known knucklehead? But maybe they won't even have an option. Maybe it's not even going to be considered, because we all know this Kuminga situation is holding everything up. So maybe Beasley goes and signs with somebody before we can even consider it, because we're still waiting on this Kuminga situation. The teams that can go over this 7.2 mil from Detroit are Chicago, Indiana, New Orleans, Sacramento, Washington, and Brooklyn. None of those teams really make sense, right? Although the Kings don't make a lot of sense anyway, right? Like, I could see the Kings just like being like, hey, yeah, we want to get rid of Malik Monk. Now we've got Beasley. It's like kind of the same, I don't know. They're liable to do some bullshit. If Malik Beasley is not going to chase, the above the 7.2 and try to recoup some of this money, and he's going to try to do a make good deal, I don't know. I don't know what his mindset is and where with his agent and what his priorities are. Maybe he just goes back to Detroit. But again, Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert, are they upset? Do they feel a type of way about the situation and all that? I don't know. If you're just looking at him taking a small contract to go like a make good deal. Hey, I'm gonna do a 1-and-1, and I'm gonna show that I can be buttoned up and be this prolific 3-point shooter. Cleveland makes a lot of sense for him, right? Could he go back to Milwaukee? They already know what time it is with him, and he played well for them. They're trying, desperately to contend this year. The Warriors, could they pitch him on playing alongside Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy in that system? Hey, you're going to get a lot of good looks. You're going to be super prolific from 3. We're in the spotlight. We have more national televised games than anybody. We're going to make a playoff run. You sign this 1-year deal, and then you go get a big one next summer. Maybe he wants to be on the West Coast. Maybe he likes West Coast women. That could be a priority for Malik Beasley. No, look, man, I don't know how realistic it is, but we're all sitting here just waiting for NBA news and stuff like that. And I'm pretty shocked, honestly, that this came down the wire like that. that he is absolved of this. I mean, good. I wasn't hating on the dude, but it seemed like it seemed real iffy when you looked at the footage. But to be fair to Malik, if you accused another player of gambling on his games, Pete Rosing it, right? And then you went and looked at all the tape. How many plays could you find where you're like, was he? Like sometimes guys are just lazy, right? Guys just take plays off. And I think people were hyper aware of it once the allegations came out. But look, the reality is, I don't know if the Warriors would be interested, or perhaps what that does to a chain of events. Does where Malik Beasley go shift the Kings or Suns offer or something like that? I don't know, right? I think that the priority for the Warriors right now is, if they're going to use that mid-level or use the cap space that they do, it's for Al Horford. We can all agree that the center spot is more important. It would be intriguing to add essentially like a third spacing engine to the system. We all know, when Steph goes off the floor, like, it's problematic, and they've used Buddy in that role and he's had success. You added a third movement shooter that spaces the floor. It just makes the system a little more bulletproof, right? But Al Horford's got to be the priority. And the report is that Al is going to get a player option, not Kuminga. Now, the money's far different, right? I know people were saying, how are you going to give Al a player option and not Kuminga a player option? The context of the situation is far different, right? Like, Al is in the twilight of his career, and the rumor is the player option would be for him to, if he wants to get out and go back to Boston when they're fully loaded next year. I don't know, but I think we can all agree Al is priority one. But yeah, Malik Beasley is going to enter the league, and he better be on his P's and Q's, man. Like, all eyes are going to be on Malik. Who else? Where do you think he would land? Would y'all want to take a swing at him? Would you rather have, I don't know the realisticness. This is just an ideas. And I have some ideas in a video coming about Kuminga if we do resign him, and where that will lead to. So that will be coming. Look for that. But would you rather have, hypothetically, Malik Beasley or Brogdon and Melton, or Seth Curry and Melton, like a 2-for-1 at the vet min? Or if somehow, some way they convinced Beasley to sign on, would you rather go with the youth of him? And he hasn't had durability issues. So I get the locker room stuff, but as far as on the court goes, he's kind of a safer bet. Anyway, let me know what y'all think about that. And then out of the three, Seth, Melton, and Brogdon, who are the two? I don't think they can sign all three. That doesn't make sense. Who would you prefer out of the three? To me, again, I didn't know Brogdon still played basketball. So I'd rather see the brothers play together, because that'd be cool. And then take the flyer on Melton, because as undurable as he's been more durable than Malcolm Brogdon. Y'all enjoy the weekend. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.